Hey guys, I hope you're having a good day so far. So today I'm here to present to you some Aufnahme preparation tips and strategy for Studienkolleg KIT. Well, this applies to all Studienkollegs. I'm talking specifically about Studienkolleg Karlsruhe here. I'm a student at the Studienkolleg Karlsruhe, currently in the second semester. So yeah, let's get started. A lot of people ask what are the best resources to prepare for the Karlsruhe Aufnahme test or generally all Aufnahme tests. And for that, I really recommend Ziel Studienkolleg. That's a great book for the math part of the Aufnahme test. And for KIT, obviously, I recommend you to do the KIT Studienkolleg book from Ziel, and I can show that to you here. This is the Studienkolleg KIT Zeal, and yeah, I really recommend this book because the topics are really relevant in the exam, and I've seen a lot of questions come which I've already practiced with Zeal. So these questions are all marked with the Studienkolleg that they're relevant for. For example, this Aufgabe is relevant for Nordhausen, but if you go down, you'll find specific questions that are relevant for Karlsruhe. I recommend you to do all of them, but if for some reason you don't have time left, then especially you always have to do the questions marked with Karlsruhe. Yeah, and then I would say if you have time, go for Fit for Your Studienkolleg. That's also a good book. A lot of people have this thing like it's not a good book because the questions there are too easy. But if you need more practice, if you find yourself like unconfident about a specific topic, I would really recommend you to go to Fit for Your Studienkolleg and get more questions to practice. Also, with certain topics like linear inequalities, Fit for Your Studienkolleg has some really good questions in there. So if you're done with Zeal and you still have time left, then I would really recommend you to go for Fit for Your Studienkolleg. Then we also have the Zeal Studienkolleg for Munich and Berlin. And I've kept this as optional for Studienkolleg KIT because it's not very relevant for Studienkolleg KIT because, yeah, the topics just, they don't overlap that much. But obviously, since you're, a Studienkolleg aspirant, you're going to be preparing for all of the Studienkollegs, not just one. Yeah, so I would recommend you to do this one too. But if you're like really at towards the end, then the first two should be able to get you a place. It's not at all important to do this one, but if you just need more practice, you can do specific questions from this one. But obviously, as I said, you're not going to be preparing for only one Aufnahme. You also have Munich and Berlin, both of which have really good chances for you to get in. So yeah, if you can definitely also do this as a student colleague for Munich and Berlin. Now, moving on to German. German is a part which is not the most important for KIT because it's relatively easy, the German paper in Karlsruhe, but you're supposed to get B1, and I'll cover that later. But for now, I would just recommend Mutzerlücke B1 and B2. These two books are really good, especially made for Aufnahme tests. I don't know if the author intended that, but they're definitely suitable to prepare for the Aufnahme. This is, for example, the B1 book of Mutzerlücke, and the Aufnahme test is very, very similar to what you have here in this book. The B1 is usually considered very easy by learners who have the B2 level, but you can start somewhere. You can start maybe in the middle. There's a lot of them here, and you don't need to do the whole B1, but I would really recommend doing the whole B2 because that is a book that will really challenge you. So maybe you can start somewhere here towards the end of B1 and then move on to B2. I'll also be making a separate video discussing how you can really solve the Mutsurluka to make it really effective for your Aufnahme preparation. So I'll touch that in a later video, but let's touch the exam format now. By the way, I'm going to be leaving this whole PDF in the description so you don't have to write something down, or keep coming back to the video again and again. So yeah, let's touch the exam format now. So the exam obviously has two parts. One is German and one is mathematics. So for maths, the test is conducted on Ilias, which is a portal from KIT. I think I have it here. Yeah. So yeah, I think here you have this. So you can make an account on Ilias here, and then you can attempt the Beispielaufgaben on Ilias itself. So this is how it looks like. The Ilias page for the Aufnahmetest. I think you need to have an account here, but you can make a local account like as a guest, and then you can access the Beispielaufgaben. A lot of people see these Beispielaufgaben and they judge the Aufnahmetest for these. These are really old, let me tell you, and these are way too easy for Studienkolleg KIT's Aufnahmetest. Like the actual questions will be much harder than this, but this is also a good place to start because there are going to be a lot of these mod questions that you see right here and some inequality questions. So yeah, I mean, you could solve these and have an idea about what topics can come in the exam, but just don't take this at face value. This is not what the Aufnahmetest actually is. It's anyway conducted online, like computer based, but at the KIT campus. So it's like you have a computer and you don't have to get your own laptop or something. There'll be some computers there, and then you can attempt the question on the computers. So you're going to have 40 minutes for the test and 8 questions, more or less. It was 8 when I gave the test, which was winter semester 2023. And yeah, that had 8 questions. A lot of questions had 4 subparts, some had 2. So yeah, anyways, it can change in the future. But one thing that I think will remain true is that there's never going to be enough time to do all of the questions that you have. So I would touch upon a strategy later in this video, which would help you recognize how many questions to do and which questions to do. So you can wait for that. But for now, I'm going to just be real with you. You're not going to have enough time to do all the questions 100% correctly. And another tip that I want to give you here for the math test is that you definitely can go back and forth between the questions. I know that's not true with Nordhausen, where you can never go back and forth between questions, but here you can. And I really recommend going back and forth to check out the whole paper before. But that's the strategy. I'll touch upon that later. Here, I would just recommend you to, yeah, be aware of the fact that you can go back and forth. And this is just the online test for math. So for the German part, you have the onset portal, also available on this page. I would recommend you to go through this page on your first day of preparation and just scout out the important links. So this is the onset thing. This is the main website where you can, I think, log in. Yeah, you definitely do this, but after you have received the invite for the test. Here you also have the Beispiel test. I would really recommend you to do this because this is exactly the same format as what you have in in the real test, but it is not the same difficulty level. It is somewhere around that. So like it is written, I think on the page it is etwas leichter. So don't just take it like it's going to be this hard. It can be harder. I've also left the link here for the Beispiel test. So you always have 40 minutes for this onset test, and you have 8 Lückentext with 20 blanks each. And this is always going to be correct because it's written on the website itself. Like, yeah. So when you look at the Deutschprüfung here, exactly. So you have 5 minutes time for every single Lückentext. And here you cannot go back and forth. So yeah, I just said you could have a look at this Beispiel test, and yeah, you would get to know how it works really. So it's not that you can go back and forth. You have 5 minutes per test, and if your 5 minutes are over, it will automatically push you to the next test, and you won't have time to go back because yeah, there's no option to go back and correct your answer. So you take every test as a separate one for 5 minutes and then you move on to the next one. So yeah, you just read through this because yeah, it's written here, and it's 40 minutes, 8 Lückentext, 20 blanks each. Here's the Beispiel test. Make sure to have a look. This I really recommend that. Now the extra topics which are not mentioned anywhere apparently, not in Zeal, they're not nowhere to be found in the Beispielaufgaben, but you can definitely try and learn about conic sections, specifically the ellipse, the circle. Parabola I have not seen in the tests, but you could read about that. It's not too complex. Just have a look at the formulas and the application of the formula, because they're going to be simple questions if you know the formula, because not everyone knows the formula. So just read through these things before from your high school textbook or whatever. Lastly, the most important part for KIT is the exam strategy. You're not going to have enough time for math. I told you earlier, there's too many questions and too little time. In addition to that, the questions are really lengthy, right? So the questions are not like you could just have a look and solve them. You need to take time. And certain questions like linear inequalities, the thing is that if you make a mistake somewhere, it's very difficult to spot it afterwards. And that is if you get to know your answer is wrong, right? So it's very important to do all the questions that you attempt to 100% accuracy so you don't lose out on points. So that's what I recommend always to everyone who's writing the test. Just focus on collecting points, right? Don't make it about solving each and every question. Don't make it about acing the test, like solving each question, getting 100% marks. That's realistically not going to happen unless you're a genius, right? You like I am a normal person. I could only get 11.7 marks in the KIT Aufnahme test out of 33, and I'm just a normal student, no genius. I focused only on collecting points. That means going through all the questions early on, recognizing which one you can do, which ones you can't, which one, you can definitely do with 100% accuracy. You just need time, and which ones are a little bit of a challenge, but maybe you can manage, and some which you don't have an idea about, right? So you need to categorize these questions and start with the ones that you definitely can do. So you're collecting as many points as possible in the 40 minutes, right? Don't focus on solving all the questions, and you practice this whenever you solve Zeal. Just focus on, doing the questions fast, but with accuracy. Accuracy is most important because accuracy will give you points. If you rush to the test, you don't do any question properly, you make mistakes, then it's going to be of no use, right? And for maths, as of now, as of 15th February 2024, over 10 points if you get in maths, you're pretty much secure for a seat, provided that you also pass the German test, which I will touch upon in the next point. But if you can collect more than 10 points, then it's okay, you're good to go. For German, the only tip that I have is you solve Mutzerlücke properly. And I know this is a little vague what properly means, but I'll touch upon that in my next video. I'll make a video on how I solved Mutzerlücke and how everyone should solve it to get the maximum output of all the Leuken texts you do, right? And the requirement, like over here, there's 10 points. Here, you need to get a B1 on onset. And again, if you do the Beispiel test, you know what I mean by this. So yeah, just attempt that because you get a score. I think, you have 160 blanks, and out of that, you need to get more than 90 for B1. I'm not sure about the categorization, but you need to get a B1, obviously. But I always recommend try and get over 100. Again, you do the Beispiel test, you know what I mean by this, right? So you go over 100, and then I think you're pretty much secure for German, right? So provided you do both of these, I think you have a solid chance with the KIT Aufnahmeprüfung. Again, popular opinion, it's hard. No, it's definitely not. I know a lot of people, pretty average students, I myself being one, got into KIT. So it's all about the strategy. It's all about the confidence with which you write the paper. So I definitely recommend you to have a lot of confidence, right, with writing the paper, and I wish you the best of luck.